Senator De Leon. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1235 by Senator De Leon, enacting ammunition and making an appropriation therefore.
Senator De Leon.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I think you know that I am very proud to work in the California legislature. And every year, the work we do in this body moves this Golden State, and it moves this nation, and it moves the world. Our inspiration comes from the policies we put together that remind us that we are all connected. We want to improve the human condition of not just people today, but for future generations. And we show true unity that is unparalleled when we stand together for the present as well as the future. But lately, across this nation, the sense of unity has been sadly marked by moments of tragedy. We see every single day as violence ravishes the communities we represent. And let me underscore and highlight the word represent, for we represent each and every one of our constituents. This legislature consistently shows we don't back down from the challenges our constituents sent us here to tackle. We don't govern by tweets, we pass laws. Right now, gun safety is the most critical issue the public wants their legislators to do something about. And rightly so. We are seeing our colleagues nationwide step up in heroic ways. We have a responsibility to act, since we do have the political space and the political room here in California to do so. We are not afraid to pass laws here in California, and we do not back down this time. We want to be that beacon of hope for the rest of the country, especially after Orlando. What happened that night was absolutely terrifying. The killer sprayed that nightclub with bullets. How could anyone filled with so much hate have such easy access to ammunition? Why are we facilitating such heinous and unnecessary death with our lax gun laws? It is ridiculous that terrorist sympathizers and some gang members are using America's broken gun law system to hurt the communities that we are tasked in representing. That means any loophole we close in our system is a life saved. We press wounds. We don't leave bullet holes open if we actually want to stop the bleeding. How much more blood will it take? Right now, we have an opportunity to act to close the gap in background checks for ammunition and not take the risk at the ballot box. Political ambition has no place in this fight to save human lives. This bill will require ammunition vendors to be licensed, ammunition purchasers to be screened, and sales records to be collected to aid in law enforcement investigations. There have been several versions of this measure over the years, including, lastly, my SB 53 from 2013, which initiative is actually based on today, on Senate Bill 53. Now, I remember when I first ran for office for the very first time, and that was back in 2006. In 2005, in December, in the neighborhood that I used to live in, Angelino Heights, which is adjacent to Echo Park in Los Angeles, there was a young child. Her name was Charupa Wongwisteri. Charupa Wongwisteri, a 9-year-old girl from Thailand who had come to America. Now, Charupa lived 1 block from my house in Angelino Heights. And before I was actually sworn in officially to be a member of the state assembly, Charupa was caught in a crossfire between 2 gang members. She was playing in her kitchen with her mother, singing happily. Her mother was washing dishes. Then all of a sudden, young Charupa fell to the ground. And her mom assumed that she had just slipped and fallen down clumsily. And her mom leaned over to pick her up. And she realized that there was blood that was streaming from young Charupa's temple. Now, Chirupa was shot in the head with a bullet that pierced the front door, went through a wall into the kitchen. And Chirupa never saw that bullet coming. And young Chirupa was put on life support until a few days right before Christmas. I remember this clearly, 2006, I should say, 2006. And the decision was made to take her off life support. And I thought to myself that we have in California some pretty restrictive gun laws, the most restrictive in the nation, in fact. It takes 10 days to purchase a weapon in California. You have to go through the background check, and if there are no felonies, if you're not part of a prohibited class, if you're not mentally incapacitated with any serious illnesses, no domestic violence, lawfully recognizing and respecting the Second Amendment of the Constitution, you can go up and pick up your long gun, your handgun, your shotgun. That is the law of the land. That is the Second Amendment of the Constitution. That is a right here in California for all individuals who pass that test. But with ammunition, which is actually the fuel, it's the oxygen that feeds the violence, we have no idea who actually purchases ammunition in California. We have no idea who actually sells ammunition in California. That means if you live in Orange County, and if the local state senator wants to call the Department of Justice in Sacramento and query who actually sells ammunition in Orange County, they couldn't tell you because no records are kept. So in California, if you want to buy beer or liquor, and you go to a convenience store or to a liquor store, you have to furnish a license or identification to prove that you're 21. In California, if you want to purchase tobacco, you have to demonstrate identification. Now, thanks to Senator Ed Hernandez, it's 21 and over. If you go to a hardware store and you want to purchase spray paint, by the way, is locked up, you have to actually furnish identification. If you get a cold and you go to CVS or Walgreens or whatever pharmacy out there, I know we have a pharmacist here, or a compounder of pharmacy, you actually, if you want to buy a cough syrup that has Sudafed, you have to furnish identification. And that information is extracted and put down in a record. Why? Because we know people sell it and they convert it into crystal meth and other horrible drugs. So if you want to drive a car in California, you have to be licensed. You have to take a test. But to purchase a product that has the potential to maim or kill another human being, no identification is required whatsoever. In fact, through the DROS system in the Department of Justice, which is much more restrictive than the Department of Justice at the national level, I already explained it's a 10-day waiting period. There is no waiting period for ammunition purchase, and there is none in this measure, by the way, in 1235. But the point I want to make is that with the 10-day waiting period, we have the ability to capture those who are from a prohibited class and deny them access, lawful access, from purchasing weapons. And I know we have a handful of measures today dealing with straw purchasers, because we get folks who lawfully purchase high quantities of firearms to be sold in the black market. But if you're part of a prohibited class and you just walked out of San Quentin, Pelican Bay, Corcoran Prison, if you just walked out of LA County Jail, if you have a domestic violence temporary restraining order, TRO, just issued on the judge, well, guess what? You can walk into any Big Five, any Walmart, any mom and pop bait tackle store in Butte County or Nevada City, Auburn, or in Compton, California, or elsewhere. And we have a couple cities that have pretty good restrictive, proactive, ammunition registries. City of Sacramento, the city of Los Angeles. They're more reactive in nature, the city of LA, because it's more after the fact. But you can go to Compton, you can go to Pomona, you can go to San Bernardino or elsewhere and purchase all the ammunition you like. In fact, you can rent a U-Haul truck and fill that U-Haul truck legally lawfully and be part of a prohibited class, you can, let me qualify that remark, you can purchase all you want and not legally purchase if you're part of a prohibited class, but you can walk in and buy all the ammunition you want because there's no checks and balances. There's not even a perfunctory question that a clerk has to ask. I hope you don't mind. I must ask you because it is the law. Are you part of a prohibited class? Of course I'm not. No problem. I'm going to sell you the ammunition. And that's what's happening today because ammunition is the actual fuel. It's the oxygen that feeds the violence. Without it, the handgun, the long gun, the shotgun doesn't function. It doesn't work. We don't know who sells it. We don't know who buys it. But we do know that if you want tobacco, if you want Sudafed, if you want a spray paint, if you want alcohol, beer, or liquor, you have to furnish an ID, but not with ammunition. This is a simple, straightforward measure. Its time has come. We must do something about this. Aurora, Colorado. Columbine, Colorado. Sandy Hook in Newtown, Connecticut. Orlando, Florida. UCLA, San Bernardino, Oregon. How much more? This doesn't undermine the Second Amendment of the Constitution, by the way. Be very clear about that. Because it has nothing to do with the right to bear arms. It's about ammunition, understanding who sells it, who purchases it, and making sure that we give law enforcement the tools necessary to make the necessary investigations, to make sure that those who shouldn't have ammunition in their possession do not have it. So with that, Madam President, as well as colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator DeLeon. Members under discussion and debate, Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam President and members. Today we conclude our session on the eve, pretty much on the 4th of July, the 240th birthday of our wonderful country, where we had people that came to this wonderful land seeking freedom and liberty. And as I see the portrait of George Washington here shining on this floor, we understand the beautiful documents of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence that have made this democracy the most wonderful democracy on this planet. And we take an oath of office to defend our Constitution, and we have millions of brave men and women that have given the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we all hold dear to our heart. And we have rights. And these rights are constantly under assault. I can tell you when I read that we had a Nazi demonstration here on the Capitol steps last week, it angers me that in today's day and age that we can have Nazis marching in the street after Nazis murdered 6 million people and have an ideology that no one, I believe, on this floor embraces. But we have our First Amendment rights that allows them the right to protest, and I respect that right even though I despise what they stand for. I've witnessed over the past session a constant attack on our Second Amendment rights, the incremental taking of our rights. And I'll tell you that in this session, I've received more phone calls and more emails from people that are alarmed in a state that has the most comprehensive laws on the books. And the Pro Tem made a very important comment today. He said the killers responsible for many of these heinous attacks, the horrific attacks that we just experienced in Orlando, the horrific attacks that we experienced in San Bernardino, and the vilification for organizations that promote gun rights as being unsympathetic to this senseless loss of life. We all agree, Republicans and Democrats, that people that have mental illness, that people that can't pass background checks because they're inherently dangerous, vicious, violent, seeking people, should not have their hands on weapons and should not have their hands on ammunition. The bills that this legislature has contemplated and has passed off these floors, many that have been vetoed by our governor, are going to effectuate the lives of those that legally bear arms. And one of the discussions that we very rarely have on this floor is the utilization of those weapons by lawful citizens that have fought off home intruders and people coming into their homes, endangering the lives of their family and themselves, and have had rightful assaults and rightful shootings of people that wanted to come and assault them. That's something that's kind of lost. And here we are again, creating another database that is really going to just make it more expensive for law-abiding citizens to have ammunition, and is only going to create, in my view, a new black market for ammunition. We have a database today that's supposed to go after people that legally should not have guns. We've given $24 million recently to our Attorney General to go after these people, these dangerous people that have the guns. Our Attorney General can't keep up with the existing list of data. And now we're going to pile on yet another database without the commensurate funding and resources in order to make that database work. That's where I believe that this database is flawed and will be generally useless, and that there is no way to verify even if a purchaser has expended, sold, transferred, or simply stored the ammunition in question. It's not difficult to imagine that this change will increase that backlog at the Attorney General's office, making the system almost unusable given the technological and staffing limitations. It's also important to note that the proposed system of background checks using automated firearm system is seriously flawed. The system generally tracks firearm ownership. However, it only includes handguns purchased or transferred after 1996 and rifles of any type purchased or transferred after January 1st of 2014. The implementation costs to establish these new programs and databases, user interfaces, regulations, policies, and procedures to accommodate the demand, assuming at least partial compliance, would not only cost tens of millions of dollars as cited in prior analysis of similar measures, but the ongoing expense has often been estimated to be in the low millions to maintain, enforce, investigate, prosecute, and otherwise go after law-abiding citizens. This bill, if signed, will simply encourage people to buy their ammo out of state or encouraging non-prohibitive persons from simply buying the ammo or getting their ammo on the black market. This is simply a piece of feel-good legislation which will not keep ammo out of the hands of criminals, which we should, in fact, do, and I believe will create a new blossoming black market of illicit ammunition sales here in the state of California. Madam President, for those reasons, I respectfully request a no vote.
Thank you, Senator Stone. Senator Nielsen?
Madam President and ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, yet another attempt to criminalize the law-abiding, and yes, it is an attack on the Second Amendment. Is it about guns? Well, yes, it is, because it's about ammo. And what is a gun without ammo? Is it for a shotgun and hunting? Sure, it's going to affect that ammo. Is that the purpose? Well, you know, I have to think that it is in part the purpose. Is this bill, 1 year and 5 years from now, going to reduce the incidences of violence in California, of mass murders? I think not. And I mentioned that in debate a while ago. all of the gun bills that have passed over these many years, some, actually I think it's more than 17, because I remember one in my first terms in the Senate that banned assault weapons. Didn't end it. This and any other bills that may get signed and all the others that have will not, and taking the ammo away will not. And creating a new demand on identification and an apps system and this reporting, that hasn't worked for several years. Confiscating the guns on known criminals hasn't worked for all the millions that this legislature has given to the Attorney General's office. They have not made a little bit of progress in the last couple of years, but now we've done a continuous appropriation. I believe it's $20 million, a continuous appropriation, just the current backlog, not with adding ammo to it, and the system of reporting from the ammo dealers to the Department of Justice to law enforcement. I don't see that that system could ever be perfected in the foreseeable future. And I will always get to the point. The criminals or the deranged individuals who will use the ammo to do the nefarious crimes, the gang members who will commit the crimes, they laugh at this. Are they going to be living in fear that this bill will stop them from getting the ammo they need to have their gang wars in the streets of our cities? Hardly. They'll pay no attention to it. And again, our deranged individuals or the terrorists who want to do what they want to do, the terrorists will be the least bothered or deterred. Oh, there's a provision about not importing. I think it's something like 50 rounds into the state of California. Well, our borders are porous. National borders and interstate borders are porous. That ammo will come. The black market will thrive. Can we pound our chests and said we did something substantive by cutting down on the ammo? Well, we'll certainly increase a bureaucracy that won't work. Will we sleep more peacefully? Hardly. Because this bill won't make a difference. It's shifting the focus. Oh, and we're going to exhaust all options to get the killers. Now we're going to get the ammo. But again, the focus is on the law-abiding, not on the criminals. Can we not get it is the criminals that we need to pay attention to, ladies and gentlemen? While the legislature has been focusing on going easier on even the most dangerous criminals and putting more of them in our communities, those more likely, and including those with serious and violent histories. And we blithely vote yes to do that and expect they won't victimize the folks we represent. I've seen it otherwise personally, ladies and gentlemen. Take your vote here seriously and seriously consider if in 5 years this vote will make any difference and save any lives. It will not. I urge a no vote.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. Members seeing no further discussion or debate, Senator De Leon, would you like to close?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Colleagues, I want to publicly, I'd like to recognize and thank very much Speaker Anthony Rendon for his leadership in managing his Assembly bills and vice versa, our Senate bills that were on the Assembly. I want to give credit where credit is due. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Gibson, Mr. Bonta, Mr. Santiago, Mr. Ting, as well as Mr. Cooper, and our own senators here, Mr. Hall, as well as Ms. Hancock and Ms. Jackson for their incredible work. This was not easy by no stretch of the imagination, but I want to give credit where credit is due. Again, let me just say, we are proving to the rest of the nation as well as the world that we are ready to act, that we won't let a powerful political interest dictate to us how we represent our constituents. Our constituents indeed are concerned about public safety, and they want us to act and act now. We are still a beacon of hope for the rest of the nation, especially Washington, D.C. Now, a couple points, just very, very quickly, because I know it was made reference to a failed national program with regards to ammunition. There is veracity to that, and I want to acknowledge that. During the congressional debate, when the law was enacted back in 1968, the Gun Control Act, one of the provisions was to have a national registry for the sale and purchase of ammunition. There was just a couple critical points that made it fail. It was an opt-in, therefore states had to opt in and work with the Attorney General of the United States. There were many states, and you can imagine which states they were, who refused to opt in. At the same time, it was collection of paperwork. Computers didn't exist back in that day, so there was no internet. So that program was doomed for failure, and it's brought up continuously, in each debate. It was doomed for failure because many states opted not to opt in, obviously, and participate in the program. And if they don't participate, then it's a failure to begin with. But we fast forward, if we can do it efficiently in a cost-effective manner, be less burdensome to the consumer, to the lawful owner of guns. Now that we have technologies and we have the internet, we can prove to the rest of the state that we can get this done, and done in a manner that keeps our families, keeps our children, keeps our communities safe. Now, lastly, again, with regards to non-prohibited members who already are prohibited members who are already purchasing ammunition, they're actually walking into the store and they're buying it in front of everybody and walking out of the store. So the so-called creation of a black market, that is why we are creating the tools necessary for police. And that's why all of our police chiefs in every city, just about, in California are strongly in support of this measure. We are giving them the tools necessary for investigations to make sure the bad guys do not have this in their possession, and they're purchasing it right in front of our eyes. This is a good day for California. I believe this is a good day for our families as we move this package forward to the governor for his consideration. With that, Madam President, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Anderson? No. Bates? No. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? No. Block? Aye. Cannella? No. De Leon? Aye. Fuller? No. Gaines? No. Galgiani? Glazer? Aye. Hall? Aye. Hancock?
Yes.
Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Whistle? Aye. Huff? No. Jackson? Aye. Lada? Aye. Leno? Aye. Leva? Aye. Liu? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mitchell? Aye. Monning? Aye. Morlock? No. Morrell? No. Wynn? No. Nilsson? No. Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? No. Runner? Stone? No. Vidak? No. Wykowski? Aye. Wolk?
Please call the absent members.
Galgiani? Runner? Wolk?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 23, noes 14. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. Senator De Leon, would you like to move to file item 48, governor's appointments? I'd also like to recognize Senator Ridley Thomas. Welcome back to the Senate floor. All right, members, we're going to lift the call on the two bills that we have on call. We are going to start with file item 308. Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Bates? No. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? No. Galgiani? Glazer? Aye. Hill? Aye. Weso? Aye. Jackson? Aye. Latta? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mitchell? Runner? Wolk?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 22, noes 14. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. We're done. It's too late. Sorry. We're moving to file item 163. Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
De Leon? Aye. Galgiani? Morel? Runner? Wolk? Galgiani, aye.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 36, noes 1 on the urgency clause. Ayes 36, noes 1 on the measure. The measure passes. Senator De Leon? Members, we are now going to move to the consent calendar. Is there anything that you would like to have removed from the consent calendar? I think y'all did a pretty good job earlier, but just making sure.